What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome to week 6. It's time for early bet, survivor picks, and things you guys can fire on right now for the upcoming NFL season. He's Pat Fitzmaurice. I'm Matt Perrault. Pat, we've been good, giving people some plays early in the week before the lines are moving. Good week last week for us. How are you? Week 6. I can't believe we're already here.
Yeah, season zipping along. I am doing great, Matt, aside from the worst survivor beat, I think. It has to be in history, right? Cardinals, I think a lot of people got tripped up by that. But the way it went down was just, I mean, 3 or 4 of the most comically. The DeMercado fumble that probably wasn't even a fumble. I don't know how they reversed the on-field ruling because it didn't look like he clearly lost it before he hit the goal line. But never mind. Should have been focused, should have been running hard and not slowing down and dropping the ball randomly. I'm not sure why people have that inclination to drop the ball like it's 500 degrees. The snap off Kyler Murray's helmets, the botched interception and fumble recovery with it being kicked into the end zone. It was just a comedy of errors, Matt, and it was hard to take if you had the Cardinals in Survivor.
Which I did. I had them in Survivor. I had them in a teaser. I laid the 7. It was, I've been betting for a while. Mike Palm, who's the vice president of Circus Sports, who is one of the grand poobahs of the Circus Survivor, which is kind of like the gold standard of all Survivor contests. They lost about 70% last week of the remaining contestants that were available for the $1,000 per entry winner take all Survivor pool, which is around $18 million that's up for grabs. He called it the worst Survivor beat in the history of Survivors. And those are guys who watch it every day, who are around this all the time. And I would agree with him that just not that the upset happened, because the Rams were the number 1 pick of the week and they lost on Thursday. So that started the week off badly. But the Cardinals being the second most popular pick, I was on the Cardinals, is the way, like you mentioned, just the way that everything went in the second half for a game that was 21-6. And you felt very good about everything. I felt very good about the 7 points I laid, felt very good about the teaser that I bet, and felt very good about the Survivor pick going in with the Cardinals. And then it was like a sandcastle getting washed away by the tide. I could not believe what I was witnessing and what I was watching.
Yeah. DeMercado he scores. It's 28-6. Then even the Titans, like when they scored to cut it to 9 points and choosing to kick the extra point there and maybe go for like wrong decision. And then he misses the extra point. Like the Titans didn't even want to take that game from the Cardinals, Matt.
Yeah, and you give Cam Ward his first victory. You give Brian Callahan some breathing room because he was on the way out. I could see that team firing him on the way home because of how poorly things have gone. You got the quarterback coming out there and talking about how badly they were. They only had 6 points, so it could have been a 28-6 loss in the desert, and things are just unraveling. And maybe they just make the change. It really could change the whole fortunes of that entire franchise and Brian Callahan if they do put together any type of win streak, which I don't think they're going to, by the way. But if they were to, it could change a lot. I think it was just a lucky break for them, but we'll see how it goes for this week. All right, let's get to the game Thursday. The Eagles are on the road against the Giants. It's 7 or 7.5, Pat. This number is 41 from a total perspective. Some books are at 41.5. It opened at 41.5. You like a play in this game early. You want to get on the Eagles now? Yes?
I do want to get on the Eagles. And I know taking a big road dog, especially one that hasn't been sharp. I mean, the Eagles have been, I believe, outgained in every game they've played this season. But they did manage to win 4 of those games before finally getting tripped up at home against the Broncos. And like, not a dishonorable loss. The Broncos are a scrappy team. Like they're a quality team. So I don't think that was an atrocious loss. But I just look at the competition here, Matt. The Giants, like they have nothing on offense except Cam Scatterbo to grind out, yardage 4 and 5 yards at a pop. Just no passing game. Jackson Dart is a one-read quarterback. If he doesn't have his first read open, he's just going to take off and run. And he's going to get sacked a lot. He's going to throw some interceptions. He has no credible weaponry at wide receiver now that Malik Neighbors is out for the season. So I just don't think the Giants have enough firepower to hang in there with the Eagles, despite the Eagles' offensive struggles. They have not been the Philadelphia Eagles of 2024, that's for sure, but they still have a lot more juice than the Giants, and I think they're going to win big on Thursday.
I'm with you. And I think, look, 7 or 7.5 is a lot of points to lay on the road. I'll give it to you. But the Giants losing against the Saints, and give credit to our guy, Andrew Erickson, our coworker, who was on the table telling everybody that the Saints were going to beat the Giants. And even I was skeptical on Sunday morning. We did our live stream, and I told him, I was like, I like the play and I love the play because I think it could happen. But, we're talking about a quarterback for the Saints and Spencer Rattler, who was 0 for 10 in his career starting NFL games. So he gets his first win ever against anyone. And it's against a Giants team that came off of a very surprising win the week prior. And now they're back at home on a short week where the league is now, as you mentioned, getting some tape on Jackson Dart. And you saw what the Saints were able to do with that, getting after the quarterback, making him uncertain. And he's a good runner, but he's not like Josh Allen. He's not going to go and burn you whenever, the play collapses. He's not going to burn you the same way. So I think if you do spy him and you don't allow him to run, you can take away a big weapon for that offense. And again, I've been on the Giants all year long, and the move to Jackson Dart going to the under 5.5 wins. I bet it in the summer. I love the fact they went to him as quickly as they did. The coaching staff's trying to deflect and say, hey, I got a rookie. You can't fire us. I got a rookie quarterback. But this feels like a 28-3 type game to me. Like I don't think the over hits. I don't think the Giants score very much. And I think it's a road grading. Just get in there, run the football, score 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, and get home and cover the 7 points. So I'm with you. I think the early play, take the Eagles, lay the 7. I don't love 7.5, but lay the 7 for the Eagles coming up here on Thursday Night Football coming up. We are back to the international games, and it's Denver on the road against the New York Jets, who are an absolute dumpster fire. They are 0-5. Denver's coming off of a huge win. Speaking of Philadelphia, they came back. They were down big in the second half, and the Broncos rallied to win that game at Philadelphia. Now they continued on their road trip, second game in a row away from home. This one going to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Number opened up at 5.5. We're up to 7, Pat, with a total of 43.5. We like the Broncos to go take apart the Jets and drop them to 0-6.
I think so. You said it, dumpster fire with the Jets. That is just one of the doormat teams of the league right now. And the Broncos, I think, are probably a top 10 team and maybe a little undervalued. Like I was doing a little tour of some of the power rankings, and a few people didn't have the Broncos as a top 10 team, which surprises me because that defense is top 3 for sure. And I know there's not a lot of faith in Bo Nix, but they also run the ball pretty well, and Nix is not asked to do a whole lot in that offense, and certainly there might be games where he's forced to do a lot more, but the Jets, that's probably not an opponent that is going to force Bo Nix to bring his A game.
Yeah, I this is not on my list, but this is close. I brought it up because this is, if we were doing 4 games, this is a game that I probably would lay the 7 with Denver on this, just because the Jets offense is so inept at the moment, and their defense, which is supposed to be Aaron Glenn's calling card, they don't have a takeaway through 5 weeks. That's a history making number there. 0-5 with no takeaways through 5 games. It's the first time in the history of the league that's ever happened. So this defense, not a good week to be going overseas, not a good week to have a shorter week with a Broncos team that I think just pins the ears back and really makes life difficult for Justin Fields and company. So, Tyrod Taylor I play in this game, given what the offense looked like last week for the Jets. So my first play, and we were talking about the Cardinals and the horrible beat, I think the Colts are going to take apart the Cardinals. I watched it last week. I don't think that was a fluke, what they did to the Raiders. Indy at home with Shane Steichen in the Dome with Daniel Jones. This is working. The defense is good enough to make life difficult on the Cardinals. I like it under 7 at 6.5. I think you bet it now. Colts minus 6.5 against the Cardinals. How do you feel about that game?
If the Cardinals can get up off the mat after that loss they took, at home against the Titans last week. I will tip my hat to Jonathan Gannon and his staff and take my loss and move on. But I don't think that's going to happen, man. I think the Colts have proved their credibility. They are a legitimately decent, if not very good team. And yeah, it's hard to imagine the Cardinals reacting well to the meltdown they had last week.
Mm. You and I are both on this game, but on different sides. With San Francisco on the road at Tampa, you like the total. I like the side. Let's start with your play. What do you like with the 49ers and the Bucs here? It's a 4:30 kick.
Yeah, so the Buccaneers have been over machines the last few weeks. Their last 3 games have produced 56, 56, and 73 points. The Buccaneers have scored 25 or more points in 8 of their last 9 home games. Oddly enough, the one time they didn't score 25 points during that stretch was last year at home against the 49ers. They lost that game 23-20. I don't think we see a repeat of an underscore there. Both of these teams rank in the top 10 in offensive DVOA and at the bottom half of the league in defensive DVOA. I think it's going to be the offenses here, even if we get Mac Jones again and not Brock Purdy, even if the 49ers are still missing some of their pass catchers.
I like the Bucs, and I like the laying of the 3 points in this game. It opened at 1.5. It's now 3. I don't want it over 3, so I would take it before it does go over 3. It feels like we're already here on a Tuesday tape. We're at 3. There's money coming in here on Tampa. And I know the Niners, look, Mac Jones has played really, really well. And you have to be impressed with his ability to go on the road, to take on a Rams team and beat them when nobody thought, including me, nobody thought they could do that. That was the number 1 survivor pick, like I mentioned earlier, in the Circus Survivor here in Vegas. Everybody thought the Rams would win. Didn't happen. This is back-to-back road games for Mac Jones, and Tampa understands what is happening. Tampa is still going to be banged up. We'll see who comes back. If they get their offensive lineman back, if they get Bucky Irvin back, it's no Mike Evans. Like, what do they look like? But Baker Mayfield, I know betting on Baker Mayfield as a favorite is a little bit dicey. Last week against Seattle, Baker as a dog. Everyone, I like sometimes when I'm able to talk myself out of a bet, because I was close to taking the Seahawks. Like I was pretty confident when we taped the show on Tuesday. I was pretty confident I was going to take the Seahawks against the Bucs, and I'm glad that I did not, because Tampa scoring 38 points in that game against that defense for Seattle was eye-opening. That was pretty surprising to see that happen. I really think, though, that Tampa, I've got a big ticket on Tampa to win the division. I think Baker's off to an MVP type season. He's going to be in the MVP conversation, I think, for most of the season with the way he is playing right now. I'll lay the 3 points. I just think it's the old adage of teams on the road in back-to-back weeks. I know it's a Thursday to Sunday, so they have extra time to rest. I just think it's too difficult to ask Mac Jones to go on the road with the Niners, given the injuries that they've got, to go to Tampa. And it could be warm. We'll see what the weather looks like, too, for San Francisco, but I like Tampa.
Yeah, on the road in back-to-back weeks, Matt, and also the West Coast team traveling east for an early afternoon start. And let me ask you this, Matt. What do you think the number in this game would have been had the Rams just taken care of business against the 49ers in Thursday Night Football in Week 5 and won by a touchdown? Like, this would probably be 5.5 or something, right?
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
Yeah.
I was going to say it would be 6 points.
So you might be getting a little bit of value here, and really the only thing that scares me about this game is betting Baker Mayfield as a favorite. That's really
right. And maybe that adage is gone. I mean, maybe that's an overreaction because of the team he's playing with at the moment, and the fact that Tampa, I mean, going into the season, even with the injuries now, I still feel this way, that like you look at this roster and you look at the coaching and you look at the defense and the way that they're playing. I mean, this is one of the better teams in the NFC, and they have a chance to remind people, because all eyes are going to be on this game because it's the Niners and it's Mac Jones and he's getting all the love, and everybody thinks that Mac is going to take Brock Purdy's job, and all these narratives that have nothing to do with the Bucs. It's everything to do with the 49ers. And so let's see how they deal with prosperity. Mac Jones with New England did not do well with prosperity. When things got good and the spotlight got bright, Mac Jones wilted. So let's see. He's saying all the right things. This is Brock Purdy's job. I'm just trying to get some wins for Brock when Brock comes back. They gave Brock Purdy $181 million. So, like, if Mac keeps on playing well, if he goes on the road and beats the Buccaneers, I mean, this could be more and more of a difficult choice for that Niner franchise as to what they do at the quarterback position. But for this game, I'll take the Buccaneers here. I'll lay the 3 points with Tampa. Let's talk Bears and Commanders. And man, this is going to be a really interesting game. 2 Monday night games we've got again, which I still think we get rid of Thursday and do this with 2 Monday night games. Buffalo, Atlanta the first, Chicago and Washington being the second. Pat, what do you like about your Bears against Washington?
Yeah, so not my Bears. I need to clarify that for my Packer fan friends here before they think I've turned traitor on them. But yeah, so Bears plus 4.5, and I don't think this is going to jump out as at a lot of people as a wager they want to make. But I like the spot here for the Bears, Matt. First of all, Commanders threw a great punch at the Chargers last week on the road. Can they play 2 games that perfectly in a row? Like I like the fact that they're kind of fat and happy after that convincing win. And now they get a Bears team coming off a bye. Ben Johnson is going to have a lot of things cooked up now that he's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. We're going to see probably some trickery, but like I would expect his early game script to be pretty effective against a quality defense, admittedly. Also for the Bears, Matt, they have a chance to exercise some demons against the Commanders because they lost that game with the Hail Mary, the infamous Hail Mary, where Tyreek Stevenson was taunting Commanders fans and then runs back to make the play and inadvertently tips the ball backwards into the end zone for a Hail Mary completion to lose the game. So I think exercising the demons would be pretty important to this Bears team. I think a lot of guys in that locker room are probably thinking about how they lost that game and how nice it would be to go out and beat the Commanders. And the offense has been clicking pretty well. I mean, they don't have much of a running game, but everything with the passing game has looked pretty good lately. And it seems like Caleb Williams is starting to mesh with what Ben Johnson wants to do.
Big spot for the Bears. I mean, this is
Big spot.
The late game. This is Monday night. This is a chance to kind of announce yourself as, Jaden Daniels was the it quarterback, young stud quarterback last year. Caleb goes in there and beats Washington. It's a pretty big moment for this Bears team in my mind to go on the road against the Commanders. I don't have a play on it, but I'm very interested to see. This is a good spot to watch and learn what the Bears will look like for the rest of the year. Because if Ben Johnson can do this with Caleb, okay, now you can start some conversations about, are they capable of making the postseason? Are they a wild card team? Like, where will the Bears year go from here? If they go there and lay an egg and get blown off the field by the Commanders, things might go a different direction. So I like the spot. I like your play. Could be a 3-point win for the Commanders. Take the 4.5 points with the dog on the road. I have a hard time seeing the Bears win the game, but I could see it being a closer game than the books are giving it to with a 4.5 point number. For mine, and I watched it last night, I like the Jaguars. I think what Liam Cohen's doing here at home again against Seattle, 1:00 start. It's an early kick for the body clock for Seattle after giving up 38 points at home to the Bucs. This might be just what the doctor ordered here. It opened at pick. Now we're at 1.5 or 1. Hard Rock bets at 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think you can jump in and lay the 1 point here. It's essentially a money line play on the Jaguars to beat Seattle. It's just a travel spot for me. I think this is a tough matchup for the Seahawks to go across the country to go into an environment where the Jaguar fans, you saw it last night, they're believing, Pat. They think they got a team.
Yeah, maybe they do, Matt. Like I have a lot of faith in Liam Cohen, and I know they asked him in the offseason. I think I was reading an interview with him where they asked if when he felt like his offense fully kicked in Tampa and people understood it. And he said it took about a month. And so we're at about a month. So maybe we start to see that offense come into bloom here. And the defense has been pretty good too. Like Josh Hines-Allen and Devin Lloyd, these guys have been playing out of their minds and they are getting takeaways. Now, I don't know if we can count on the takeaways to continue the way they have 14 through 5 games. That's a lot of takeaways. But I guess the only hangup I have, plus, you mentioned the West Coast team traveling east for the early start. So there is a lot to like with the Jaguars here. The only hangup I have is that I think Seattle is undervalued right now. And I do think they're a really good team. And we saw the defense slip up a little bit against the Buccaneers in a game that just wound up being a game of horse with increasingly difficult shots. And just, I think they said in that game, Matt, there were 9 touchdowns and only 10 incompletions in
Wow.
Buccaneers Seahawks. Yeah, crazy back and forth game. I think the Seattle defense is better than that. And this offense is really efficient. Sam Darnold has been operating pretty effectively within a run heavy scheme. The running game hasn't always been great, but it is making things easier on Sam Darnold, and it's helped his production. So this is probably a stay away from me, but I get the angle. I understand why you like this game. And like in the pools where I'm forced to make a pick, I'm probably going to take the Jaguars here.
It's a huge way of, and I know it's a shorter week because they played last night on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, but and I'm with you on the interception return for a touchdown for 99 yards and all these turnovers they have had through the first 5 weeks is remarkable. And I'm with you. It's not sustainable, but I think there's confidence growing in that locker room at the moment. And for Seattle, I like Seattle. Okay. I do. I like Mike McDonald. I like their defense. Sam Darnold on the road, Eastern time zone. Like, let's see what he does going there. And if they go and shut down that Jaguars team and they get a W, I'll tip my cap and say, great job, guys. Nice bounce back spot. But that loss to the Bucs worries me about where the Seattle Seahawks are at the moment. And I mean, I don't want Seattle in shootouts. Like, I don't like the Seahawks offense to stay in a shootout type situation. That's not how they're built. They want to run the ball and play defense and play lower scoring games, and giving up 38 points to the Bucs was, whew, okay, a bit eye-opening to me on that. So I'll take the Jags laying just 1 point, essentially a money line play. Guys, you can track your bets, stay accountable, and level up by downloading the BettingPros app. With Sportsbook Sync, automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks, all in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities, and new users can get 6 months of BettingPros Premium for free with your first deposit and wager at one of our partner sportsbooks. Learn more at bettingpros.com/premium. Let's talk Survivor. And boy, oh boy, was a carnage week last week. So for those of you who are still alive in Survivor, tip of the cap, I'm out. I'm dead. I got tossed by the Cardinals. What do you like this week, Pat, for Survivor picks?
Well, with my one Survivor team where I decided to go with the Colts last week instead of the Cardinals, I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they're chalk this week. Coming off a bye, although I should warn that Matt LaFleur's Packer teams are only 3-3 off bye weeks. They haven't been all that great. Yeah, in the first 2 years he was in Green Bay, they got their doors blown off in their first game back. So I guess 3-1 in their last 4 games off bye weeks under LaFleur, but not always convincing wins. Still, you have to think the way the Packers went into their bye, the loss to the Browns, the disappointing tie against the Cowboys, they're probably going to be pretty focused and fired up coming out at home against this depleted Bengals team. Bengals can still generate a little bit of offense with Jamar Chase, but man, their defense can't stop anyone. Jake Browning is turning the ball over. It's just hard to see the Packers tripping up here as 14.5-point favorites. And then beyond that, I mean, we talked about the Colts and Cardinals, Matt. I mean, I guess Colts would be second choice for the teams who have them available. But otherwise, looking at a lot of road favorites, big road favorites. Like, I don't know how you feel about taking a team in the London game as a survivor pick, or how about Eagles Giants? I mean, that kind of violates 2 of your things, a road team and a divisional game. Rams do you dare take the Rams at the Ravens? Like,
No.
yeah. So
No.
yeah, Raiders.
Unless Lamar's out. If Lamar is out, then maybe. But until we know about Lamar Jackson's status, they have a bye week next week. So
Probably
the
not
thought is,
coming back, right?
yeah, Lamar sits, gets the bye, and then comes back after the bye, but they could very well be 1-5 when they get to the bye week. So that's the worry, that do you really want to chance it, because the offense under Cooper Rush looked horrific last week for the Ravens. So that's a bit concerning. I mean, for me, my survivor pick is the Colts. I think you go turn right around and fade the Cardinals. And I mean, a lot of people who listen to Daily Juice called the Cardinals now the Jets of the West. And I think it's a fair point, because they just can't get out of their own way. And I think the reaction of the coaching staff following some of those decisions, following some of those plays, kind of tells you where that team is at the moment. I don't think they're in a good space mentally, and they're walking into an environment that I think we do have to start paying attention to what's going on in Indianapolis and what Daniel Jones is doing. On the road against the Rams, he was tremendous, turning around. Look, the Raiders are not a good football team, but when you're a good football team, you're supposed to do that to a bad football team. They come into your building, you take them apart systematically, and you make the game into a laugher. They did that last week. I think there's a good shot they do it again to Kyler Murray and company here. I think they've got the pass rush to keep him in the pocket and make him throw the football. And I like the Colts defense is a bit underrated, but the offense is really humming right now.
Yep.
The offense is really, really doing a good job. So I think if you have the Colts available, I think that's the survivor pick to go ahead and jump on the Colts here for this week. Guys, Hard Rock Bet is the sponsor of this show. We talk a lot of football here, obviously on Betting Pros, but it's October and postseason baseball is here. Every swing could change the season. Step up to the plate and take your swing on Hard Rock Bet today. New customers can place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but you get $150 in extra bonus bets. Plus, every day, Hard Rock Bet will give you a profit boost for the postseason baseball parlay. New promos every day as well. If you're listening to this later, open up the app, check it out, and see what you got any day of the week. Check out Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app and make your first deposit today. All right, let's talk about a play that you would lock in right now, Pat. What would you like to do from a number perspective that might move as we get later into the week?
I want to get the Dolphins as home dogs catching 4.5 from the Chargers before the public realizes how beaten up the Chargers are and that maybe they're not a great investment as a road favorite. We saw the Chargers really struggle to protect Justin Herbert last week against the Giants without Joe Alt. They already lost Rashawn Slater in training camp. Now Joe Alt's gone. So both of the bookend stud tackles the Chargers had gone. I think Mekhi Becton got hurt last week too, one of their starting guards, some sort of hand injury. So he's going to be out. And obviously the loss of Omarion Hampton is pretty big. So now they can't really lean on that running game. They've got, the plotting Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal at running back. So don't know how well they'll be able to run. Don't know how well they'll be able to protect Herbert. And the defense is okay, but I don't know if it is a lights out defense. I don't think it's the caliber of, say, Denver's defense. And Matt, since that 33-8 week 1 demolition at the hands of the Colts, the Dolphins have played every game close since then. Their worst loss over that stretch was that 10-point loss at Buffalo on Thursday night when we knew that the Dolphins were right in that game. And had they not gotten an unfortunate roughing the punter call that gave the Bills a first down when they were kicking the ball away in their own territory, things could have been really tight for the Bills in that one. Other than that, like, Miami's been competitive. This team has not quit on Mike McDaniel. So I think they can hang with the Chargers and maybe even pull off the upset this week. I might consider a money line bet here too.
I like it. I think, so much in the NFL is about spot and who's available. And the Chargers got off to a really hot start. And we were talking about them in the West and running away with the division. And look, they still very well might win the division. But Denver, if Denver gets the win over in England, they are in the driver's seat for the division after the Chiefs loss to the Jaguars, which was somewhat surprising. I'm with you. I think that the Dolphins are playing even without Tyreek. And maybe, you know what? I hate to say this. I'm not saying that you never want anyone injured, but sometimes when you take away players and you remove certain players from locker rooms, the teams tend to, pick up the pace and they get on the same page and they start to lock in because they know they don't have one of these players, one of these elite playmakers, and also maybe a personality that didn't fit all that well in that locker room. So I don't love Tua, but I think this is a good spot for the Dolphins. For me, and this is one of those hold your nose, and I get it when I say it. People are going to go, "Oh no, you just trashed Vegas, and now you're going to back Vegas." I am. I don't trust Brian Callahan to keep the Titans off the strip. I don't. We've had the Vegas flu in the past. I don't trust the Titans to stay away from the problems here in this city. There is distractions on distractions. There is. This is a young football team making their first trip out here. I don't remember the last time the Titans played here in Las Vegas. And I don't trust the Callahans at all to keep their guys focused on a football game coming up on Sunday. And this Raiders team is backs against the wall, and everyone's job is currently, I think, if they lose to the Titans at home, we could see some big changes. We could see, I don't think Chip Kelly gets fired, but I think some coaches might be getting let go, because I don't know if Pete Carroll is going to stick around long term if this season completely goes south. Remember, he brought in Geno Smith, a veteran quarterback, to win right now. They drafted a running back with the 6th pick overall when they had multiple problems, and they could have traded down and drafted a whole litany of guys. They chose to use it on a running back who is their best offensive player. Okay. I'm not saying that Ashton Genty has not had a great start to his NFL career, because he has, but they have bigger problems than a running back at number 6 overall. And they made that decision. So from a GM standpoint, down to a coach standpoint, down to a distraction standpoint, they're fat and happy. They won on the road. It's back-to-back road trips out west. I don't know if the Titans are staying out west or not, but I don't care if they are. It doesn't matter. I want 4.5. This number is climbing. I would take Vegas laying 4.5 right now against the Titans.
You think it's going to go up? Where do you think it finishes?
6.
Wow.
Most likely. I think it probably goes up a 1.5. We're at 5 at most books, at some books right now. One book's at 5.5. I just think people are going to fade back-to-back road trips for the Titans, given their youth and the fact that they should have lost last week to the Cardinals.
Yeah. I do expect the Raiders to win this game, but I just wish I could be a fly on the wall of the Raiders locker room for a day to know what the vibe is with this team. Like, is Pete Carroll losing the locker room yet? Or is he, and Pete Carroll has been a big culture guy throughout his coaching tenure in Seattle. Like, we saw, the culture was always good in Seattle. And I think Pete Carroll's a player's coach. So I do trust him more than I trust Brian Callahan, for sure. And I think the Raiders probably do have the better roster. They certainly should have the more competent quarterback, although Geno Smith has not played well. But so it's a scary investment to make, Matt. But I do expect, especially with the game being in Las Vegas, maybe the money to come in on the Raiders as the week goes on. So getting it now, if you like the Raiders, makes sense.
It's a spot. I know they got killed by the Colts last week. I know things are a dumpster fire here with the Raiders. It's just, if you can't beat up on the Titans, who are you beating? Who are you beating the rest of the year if you can't win this game at home, given what just happened on the road to Indianapolis? Not great at all. I'm very excited to see how this is all going to play out. Guys, want to track all your wagers in one place? Well, check out the BettingPros Pick Tracker. It syncs up your sports books to tally your picks that hit and which miss. Plus, it gives you a live look at what the public is doing, so you can use real-time tracking to determine what plays to make and which plays to fade. Track your picks today with the BettingPros Pick Tracker at bettingpros.com/tracking, or go to the BettingPros app. Pat, final thoughts before we head off into week 6?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting slate, Matt. I mean, maybe not my favorite slate of the season so far, but an interesting one for sure. I just wish that you were doing the Sunday live stream with Erickson instead of Terrell this week, because I want to see Erickson cluck his tongue at you for betting Baker Mayfield as a favorite.
I get it. I do. I understand his point. I mean, but I think at some point you just can't play that narrative all the way, because the Buccaneers are at home. And again, it's now 3. I don't want it over 3, but I think this is a Tampa team, even though, and Baker has won as a favorite. It's not like he never wins as favorites and never covers as a favorite. He's just a much better bet when he's a dog. I think the number is 17-3 now against the number for Baker Mayfield as a dog in the NFL last 20 games. So he's been highly profitable as an underdog, but I think as a favorite, he can take care of business here at home against a banged up San Francisco team. For me, reminder that Minnesota and Houston, those are the 2 teams are on a bye, and that there are 2 games on Monday Night Football. So we have Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night with 2 games, and Minnesota and Houston are on buys. So just for your fantasy teams and whatever you need to set from a roster standpoint, DFS standpoint, just be aware that that's what we're in, that part of the year.
And London. Don't forget London.
Yes, good point. Yeah, in another London game. That's a great point. And also, we're not to the weather portion of the season yet. We're getting close. We're not into the wind of Ohio and the cold of Minneapolis or of Green Bay and the cold in New England. We're not there yet, but we're approaching that. So remember, we don't bet weather, we bet wind. So just on that as you're watching. And we're not there just yet, but we're getting closer. We have to start looking at the weather ahead of time, and we'll do that for you on Tuesday. Starting next week, week 7, he's Pat Fitzmaurice. I'm Matt Perrault. Thanks for watching. Back next week here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel.